And welcome back as we launch into the second hour of Bad Radio. And we are here with Ashley Voltaline, and her business is called Get Me Automated. And she's been on a couple of times, and they also sponsor the show. So thank you so much for that. And I'm excited to have like another hour to talk about stuff. So we talked a lot about, and like we are all talking about in the digital space because computers are here to stay, and there's nothing that that's just the way it is.
Right.
Out of curiosity, though, do you think there'll ever come a time where like we revert back to like things that are not so AI driven or digital driven? Do you ever think that maybe at one point society is going to be like, okay, we're going to put a break on this?
I hope so. That's
but that's your business.
No, I know, but I like honestly, all my spare time when I'm not in front of a computer, I am doing things like yoga or cooking or anything to get me not in front of something digital. So, I mean, I don't hope it all goes away, but I do hope that people find a balance because I feel like it's too much.
Well, you know what I think, and like we'll go off topic just a little bit, is I think that especially for our young people, it's information overload.
Yes.
I know that my children have a lot harder time than what my husband and I had simply because we were not privy to all the information that our kids are too.
Right.
So we didn't have to worry about stuff like they did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I'm on a global scale, worrying about bombing of it. Like we just didn't
we didn't even know
all the stuff.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, and when I was a teenager, I was just like, where's the next party at? Like, where's, you know what I mean? Who can I talk to on the phone until 4 o'clock in the morning? I wasn't worried. I mean, I wasn't in a chat room with like 500 people from all over, you know what I mean? I just didn't have access to that information. And so I didn't worry about it.
Right.
But I see that. I do hope too. I hope that at some point they people take a step back and just for the mental health of our young people growing up, because like I said, I don't think our brains were built to access that much information.
I agree. Not all the time.
Have you ever heard the term doom scrolling?
Yes.
Do you doom scroll?
I did, and so I have a lock on my apps right now. I just lowered my Instagram time down from 15 minutes to 5 minutes a day, which is great because oh my gosh, you can like it. I rationalize it by saying I'm doing this for business, but then because I start off that way, and then it's all of a sudden, like you said, doom scrolling. And then you're like, oh my gosh, 28 minutes have gone by. Like I can't do that. So
right,
I put timers on.
That's great. Here, pull that microphone a little bit closer
to
you there. Okay, so I will doom scroll a little bit, and it's only at nighttime when I'm trying to go to sleep because I will watch pointless things to make me not think about stuff.
Right.
And I think I told you this. I don't know if I told you this, but one of the things that I've come across that helps me relax is hoof cleaning.
Oh, yes, you did.
Literally watching them clean like cows' hooves. And it's disgusting, but I'm always like, oh, it helps the cow. And then, and it makes and for some reason it just helps me relax. And then, but it's never more than like 5-10 minutes.
Right.
And then, by then Tom's sound asleep, and then it just helps me shut my brain off, so I don't feel guilty about like that kind of thing.
I think when you're just like looking, I think it's also just takes away a lot of like, I mean, it messes with people's brain chemicals, and you're always comparing yourself to other people's lives, and which aren't even real. So
it's very true. Yeah. Well, that leads us to content because, like I said, the content that I relax to is probably, and I'm sure there's probably so many random things out there that help people relax. And I'm not here to judge any of it, whatever works for you. But having content, dynamic content, is so important in whether or not your digital ads or your success is going to be. And so, I mean, we talked about A/B testing, but I mean, how do you help your clients come up with the right content?
Yeah. So they'll send us like ideas or points that they're trying to get across, and then we'll come up with after what works. I mean, I have my own opinions on what works best for me, but then I like to test it out on people of different ages and see what stands out to them. But for as far as like dynamic content inside of newsletters and things like we have a client who does lawns, so big hardscape lawn job. So he ran a special in July, a 30% off coupon that we sent. And then he got like a ton of calls for people that were mad that had done their jobs in June. And like, what? We just spent like 10 grand and now we could have gotten it for 6,000. So making sure that you're sending a coupon like that only to people who are not, past clients.
That's what dynamic content means?
Yeah. So
I thought it meant like creative stuff. People stop scrolling.
Yeah, just like tailoring, making sure that you can change the content dependent on like where your customers are at in the journey. So if it's just a lead, you're going to offer them lots of coupons and sign up. But if they just bought from you, don't send them that coupon because that's going to make them mad. So just knowing, and also knowing like maybe some of your clients like gardening, so you're going to include this gardening piece, and some people might like shoes. So whatever is for them, you would just base your content off that. So
what you're saying is, okay, like we all bought something from retail and then saw something online that said it's now 30% off,
right?
And we're pissed about it,
right?
So what you're saying is like you have technology that can stop me from seeing that
30% off now. Yes.
That's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it happens all the time, but I mean, that's pretty important because if it's a $10,000 like yard,
that's a lot of money to get mad at. Yeah. So I get it.
Mad too.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So that's something that I would never even thought about as far as like being able to stop that from happening. So again, very, very interesting. And the fact that you have ways of doing that, I don't even begin how you figure that out. But anyway, so, but again, let's actually talk about some of the actual content. Mm-hmm. So when you said that you have almost like a test group, how do you do that? Do you have certain people that you hit, or do you have like a company you use to test things or ideas?
No, I mean, I have my kids, which are younger, like in their 20s, and then my daughter's 19, so they're kind of in a target audience for if that's the business target. Mm-hmm. And then I have peers who are in some of my other partner groups, and I'll run things past them and vice versa, so we can bounce things off each other.
Yeah, no, that's a lot what I do too.
Yeah,
is I use my what's around me,
right?
Because I've learned a long time ago that what appeals to me is not like I listen to rock music, or you know what I mean. I think back in the day when I was trying to target people with radio, I'm definitely not in the regular like Magic 107.7 demographic. I might be more now because it's Christmas music all day, every day. But you know what I'm saying,
right?
So that makes sense. So do you guys do content creation, or is that something that you kind of outsource? You kind of do everything though. That's when I think about it.
Yeah, we don't create social media content for people. The content that we would create would be for ads and for newsletters.
Right.
Yeah. And for websites.
Well, let's talk a little bit about AdWords, because you mentioned something about it a little bit before, and that's one thing that I don't entirely understand how that works.
So you're bidding on keywords and key phrases. So when someone goes in,
so who are you bidding to? Like, is there a platform that you go on and you type in the words that you're interested in?
Yeah. So on Google Ads, so you would say like I'm, doing teeth whitening, and so that's what I'm trying to get. So a teeth whitening in Winter Park. So there's probably 4 other dentists who are also, vying for those keywords. And so depending on what they're paying and what they're willing to pay, that's, we just have to, it's like an auction.
Really? So. Is it live, or is there,
no,
it's
just
all through a computer?
Yeah, exactly. And so, and that things like time of year, like maybe teeth whitening is more popular in May, right before,
wedding season or whatever. Yeah.
So your cost per lead might raise or lower during time. So just going on, and it does change. It's not really, sometimes it's a set it and forget it, but there's so many factors, like your the other people that you're bidding against, like you don't know.
Do you know what they're bidding?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't know if it's a good bid or not. All right. Actually, I'm looking at the clock. Ken's in there sleeping, so we're getting ready to go to break. All right. You guys stay tuned for more Bad Radio coming up.
Welcome back to Bad Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. With daily specials, an amazing kids menu, and college and NFL football, all over 50 large TV screens. Plus, you don't want to miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen, and with four great locations, there is bound to be one near you. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun.
Yeah, boy!
That was loud. So we're here with Ashley Voltaline, and her company is called Get Me Automated. And like the name of your company can be a little deceiving because it sounds like it's all automation, but there's so much more to what you do. And so before break, we started talking about AdWords. Now, like, is this is a type of advertising? Is it something that you recommend to all businesses?
No.
Okay.
There's certain, definitely, like, if you're the type of business where, like, okay, so for example, like Brooke Bolts, she does law, and
so she has a company called Bolts Legal.
Right. And so you would be searching for a lawyer, and you would go in there and search, and you would want to come up on that. If they're,
I can imagine with the amount of attorneys in Orlando that it probably is quite pricey to bid on the word lawyer or attorney or something like that in this market.
And so that's definitely a better strategy for, and I think that's what she kind of does, is just like getting her name out there and being top of mind, because it's not the type of thing, you don't always need a lawyer. Like it's not a monthly service, you know, like you need it when you need it. And so I think, but types of,
what about like service-based, plumbing, gas, electric, AC, HVAC? Like there are so many AC companies. So for somebody to like bid on AC, that's got to be expensive.
It is. And so honestly, local service ads, which they're not new, but they're a couple of years old. That's what I would recommend. I wish they had them for my, category, but they don't. So if you're like a plumber, you could get on there as a local service ad, and you get verified through Google. You show them you're actually a plumber. This is my ID, we're a legit business. And then they start giving you leads. They cost more than your click, cost per click Google ad, but it's like a guarantee. Basically, like you're already vetted. They're looking for a plumber. They're going to click on it, and you get the business. So.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating. So how does it work money-wise? Do people just say, this is what my budget is, and then you start to figure, like so if somebody were to say, okay, I have $1,500, that's my budget. How does it work from there? Because isn't it kind of like a pay per click kind of thing, a pay per lead kind of thing, or no?
Yeah. And all of them, obviously, the more money you put in, the more you're going to get out. So you just need to think of, like, what is your service worth, like, and what do you want to spend to get to there? And like with the local service ads, being available 24 hours a day is like the secret.
Say that one more time.
Being available 24 hours a day, like even if that's the secret to getting like really good return on investment with it. Because if you're saying, well, we're only available 9 to 5, somebody else is going to be saying they're 24 hours a day, and they're going to be getting these like lower cost leads. So even if you're not open those hours, I would recommend getting,
an answering service
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you can get answering services from all over the world that will take you can get a live person from anywhere. So what we're talking about right now, is this Google search that we're talking about, AdWords and stuff like that? People are putting in words, they're looking for something.
Yeah, so AdWords is just Google Ads now. And so those are, like we talked about, competitors. That's going to determine your price, but also your quality score for your Google Ads account. So that's like based on past ads that you've sent, like how relevant are they, how many clicks, your click-through rate. It's also going to look at your landing page. So when someone comes there, how easy is it for them to figure out what you're doing? Like, you should definitely have your phone number on the top right corner, easy, clickable.
A landing page is in like their website?
Right. So when you're sending them to, like, right off the Google search, they're going to click on, your page. You might not want to send them to your web page. It might want to be like a landing page targeted, specifically for.
Right. But doesn't a landing page have to have its own separate URL and everything?
It does. It's usually just like a forward slash, like plumbing,
Right.
Oviedo
It's not-
Plumber or
you're
something
not
like
you're
that.
not advertising the
Right.
splash page. It's a link. It's like click here
Right.
for more information or something, right?
Right. And it just needs to be really simple and like have a definitely phone number. That's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, if you don't have that, like and then sometimes the forms work, but like I said, they're usually people, especially in service-based businesses, they want to talk to someone now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not want to fill out a form and wait for you to get back to them in 24 hours. So
You think so?
yeah.
I don't know. I started to feel like people want to talk to people less and less. Like they want to fill out a form, and so somebody just shows up at their house, kind of like a chatbot.
I would want a chatbot though, because a form is so like when are you going to get back to me? I don't, I don't have a timeline with that. Like,
Right.
so,
okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So two different things. A chatbot's different than just an online form.
right. Because you're going to be like, okay, they got it. So and so they said they'd get back to me in an hour, and then you have like a timeline. So.
Right. So let's talk about chatbots a little bit, because I know that's something that you guys specialize in, right?
Right.
Okay. And what are some of the functions for chatbots? Well, first of all, just tell everybody what a chatbot is.
Just something that you put on your website or social media that interacts with a customer and your,
So you can put on social media business pages?
Mhm.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And like
So-
WhatsApp, we can add them to WhatsApp.
Really? So so for me, when I think of a chatbot, is when I open up a website and something pops up in the little right hand corner
Right.
that says, "Hi, how can I help you?" And sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're so annoying
Yeah.
that they make me just angry.
Yeah. No, I agree. So it's supposed to be I would recommend them instead of forms a lot of times now, just because of the high spam. It's harder for a spam bot to interact with your chatbot. So
A spam bot can interact with a chatbot?
I have seen it. Yeah. So I guess that's what people are trying to get better at and be more
Well,
spam.
I can spot spam on even with business at a distance, the Facebook business page.
Right.
Like it'll try to, I have to vet letting people in now.
Right.
And I can tell now because if I'm like, you have to answer this question, and the spam answers yes or no, or you know what I mean?
Right.
It will give me one word answers, but that's not the answer to the question.
Right.
The question is, what is your business?
Mm-hmm.
It's not yes or no. And so I automatically know that that's not a real person.
Right.
So that's interesting that a spam bot can talk with a chat bot.
Yeah. I just had a client, no, it's not related to this, but he wants me to give him a proposal to basically do what you're talking about, to do like machine learning. So he wants someone a bot to go through and fill out forms for him. So it's a lot like what we're talking about, but I would be doing it for good and not
evil.
Yeah.
Evil. The evil spam bots. I always wonder what people are trying to gather. I mean, what is the point of some of the stuff that they do as far as hacking? And I mean, it always has to boil down to money, right?
Right. And maybe it works sometimes people are fooled by them, and that to me is sad, because I feel like they're targeting people who don't understand, and that's not good. So.
Yeah. But sometimes I can't figure out, how are you supposed to gain money from this?
Right.
And I guess it's just gaining access, right, to people's information.
Right.
Do you guys do that, the cybersecurity?
No.
No. Okay. So that's a totally different world, because that's got it. I mean, with the technology today, I mean, you got to protect everything.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because like you said, if you've got spam bots that can actually converse with computers talking to computers,
Right.
that's a little on the scary side. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the AI bots that the chat bots that you've created. I mean, have you done several?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that we talked about one for the New Zealand client.
Right.
But what are some of the other ones that you've done? Is it usually in a service industry or a service industry?
Yes. Construction, we have them for that. It's just at appointments.
Wait,
So-
is it? Oh, dang. All right, hold on. You got to hold that thought, because we're going to go to break, and when we get back, we'll have more of Bad Radio, so stay tuned.
Okay.
Welcome back to Bad Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. And so we are here with Ashley Voltaline, and her company is called Get Me Automated, and we have the pleasure of talking with her for like the whole 2 hours today. And I am not running out of questions. And so before we went to break, we started talking about chatbots, and Ashley's company actually can customize a chatbot for your company, for your website. So let's talk about like a couple of the cool ones that you've done. So we've talked about your New Zealand. It was a weight loss. It wasn't a clinic. It was like it was a woman.
She's like a weight loss counselor. Yeah.
Counselor. Okay. So what are some of the other ones that you've done?
So for construction, so it was cool that we asked them, like the chatbot asked them for their name and like which kind of project they're looking to do, like kitchen, bath, or a combination. And then it'll ask like for specs, like, do you know the size of the room? Like, and go ahead and then do you have some photos of the area?
So that's very specific.
Right. Well, yeah, it's basically it was meant to replace the front desk girl who was taking handwritten notes and writing all this stuff down and then putting it together. I mean, that was taking her, 45 minutes to do all the collection, and then it's still on paper. So this collects all the information, sends it in an email to them, and then they have it. So the reason was because they started growing and having, so on, and plus human error.
Yeah,
like, that's huge.
But it's also being able to vet like whether or not it's a real client for something they need or not.
Right.
Because now do some people force people to go through the chatbot from their website, or do they still allow them to call your clients anyway?
Oh yeah, no, you can still call, and you can still email. It just was a cool new tool to use, and it is working, so that's cool. I wouldn't say not everybody's going through it, probably like 30%. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that the older, like the boomers, are not going to use
sure.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Gen X, and so
Yeah.
I'm kind of like honestly, it depends on the day. Sometimes I just don't feel like talking to people, and other days I want to just have a conversation and describe.
If I want to get something done, like I want to get on a call because I want to know that this is handled right now with a person. But if it's like I'm kind of interested, an online form is better for me.
Right.
Like,
well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you offer to? Do a lot of your clients use the chatbots?
I would say like half.
Okay. I think that I'll probably be interested in that at some point as we grow bad marketing. So earlier in the show too, you mentioned something about a membership. So what is that a membership for? What?
So it's just our like sort of like a lower tier product, not lower tier, but lower priced for people who are getting interested in automation, or they're like, I know, I've heard it, I know it's important, but I'm not really sure like how we need it. Or maybe they don't have the budget to hire someone to just do a bunch of projects. So it's $75 a month.
Okay.
You get an SEO report, which that in and of itself is $100, like if you were to sign up yourself. So this tells you like all the places where your website needs, problems we need to fix, like if you've got URLs too long, if you've got no description on this page. So we send you that monthly so you can correct that. We also give you a seat on our Zapier account where you get 500 zaps a month.
What is that? Zapier?
So that's a software that connects to other software. So let's say like you wanted every time someone came in from your Google ads, we want to put them into your CRM. So we would set up a Zap so that automatically puts them from Google Ads into your CRM.
And if they didn't have that, would somebody have to manually do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you would just get like a report, and then you would have someone enter it in. So we give you a seat on that. We'll set up your Zaps. We'll run them for you, and you also get to come on Thursdays from 4 to 5. We have like office hours, and I'm just talking about new things that you can automate. You can send in questions, and then the best.
So you're talking about a training.
Yeah, we do an hour every Thursday. You can just hop on as you want to. You can send in questions for me to talk about. And then the other thing is unlimited email questions. That's part of the membership. So if you have a question about my email is not authenticated, how do I do that? I'll send you a Loom back. So
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that a lot of people don't know about that whole authentication authentication for their email. So I know we've already passed that, but I'm just out of curiosity. When somebody just starts a website and they just get a URL and they get that website, or they get that their email to with their URL, does it take a certain amount of time before it's like recognized as being real? Is there like a time?
That's a good question. Probably the time to live would probably be like, I would say 24 to 48 hours, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
That the algorithm or whatever is going to say this is a real live website with a real live URL. It's not just a made up, email. So you know what I mean? It's
right.
like you can authenticate it, but does it take time for that to actually kick in?
I think they say up to 48 hours. Usually, though, honestly, I see it like 15 to 30 minutes. Like, so it's usually quick.
Right.
Yeah.
I was curious about that. So back to the membership. What made you decide to put a membership together? Did you have you were like just brainstorming and you're like, I think this is a cool idea?
Well, actually, I'm going to be pulling myself out of answering all the questions in January and taking all the calls. I'm having Hunter do that. So having the membership is really going to be the only way to be able to have me answer questions. So just because I was spending a ton of time answering questions anyways. And I want to be a resource for people who maybe they don't need me to actually go in and implement things for them, but just to let them know how they can do it themselves in their business. A lot of people have VAs or their own marketing team. And so I just want to be, a resource for them when they have questions. So.
Okay. And I think that's cool that you're going to have a system to get paid for that as well.
Right.
I mean, is there only one tier to the
right
membership?
now? Yeah.
Okay.
If you are part of the membership, though, you do get 30% off our regular price for our hourly rate. So that's an advantage if you're going to be doing work with us anyways. So.
And is that already in place, or is that you start that at the beginning of the year?
It's already in place, yeah.
Okay. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's like another way. I mean, that's a very creative way to generate new contact.
Yeah.
Because usually I have a good, strong feeling that if somebody signs up for that, they're going to end up buying other product services from you.
Right. So you can go to our website at getmeautomated.com/members and see the landing page for that and sign up.
Very cool. So we still have another segment, but I'm just curious, what are some of the things that we didn't touch on yet? Let's see here. We're both going to look at our thing. This is a good one.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about blogs.
Okay.
Is that what you're going to talk about?
I looked at the in-depth automations, but yes, let's talk about blogs.
Okay.
Actually.
So my question is blogs strictly just for our SEO?
In my opinion, yes. With some people, it's like a newsletter. It's like if you want to, it's just like that. If you think you have something important, it's probably just really important to you, but the deeper purpose is for SEO and, keeping your website, your domain score. So I was just talking about a client about that today. His domain score is a 2. He's not going to be seen on the first page of Google. He needs to get up into the 12 or above to rank. So
I didn't realize that there was a ranking hierarchy. What does it go from what to what?
0 to 100.
100.
Yeah. So like Coca-Cola or someone is like 100. We don't know anyone who's on. So typically people who are ranking on the first page on Google in your industry, they're at least 20 in the 20s, something like that. So the way that backlinks are huge for getting your domain score up, updating your content, which is blogs.
Yeah.
And then, how many website visits you get per month.
Yeah. I mean, who reads a blog? I'm just being straight up
honest.
No,
me too.
I'm like, who reads a blog? In my opinion, a blog is something that you connect to AI. You put it on your website so that you have fresh content that is being fed to your website on a regular basis, which shows activity.
So a lot of our clients, we don't even publish. Obviously, we publish the blogs, but we don't put them out there. We don't say, put this on your social media. It's just for SEO.
Yeah.
So
and it's connected to some AI that's saying pull relative, or articles that make sense for this, right? I'm so glad you answered that because that's what I figured anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Again, going to break. So we'll be back and we have one more segment of Bad Radio. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to Bad Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back. I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Bolts Legal. Fear no storm with boltslegal.com. Imbalance Bodywork in Lake Mary. Derek Brantley is ready to take your pain away. Forge IT Consulting, providing a fully outsourced IT department with a personal touch for small business. And last but not least, thank you to Get Me Automated. Ashley and her team are ready to make your business easier through automation. And so, yes, we thank you very much for being a sponsor of the show, because the show wouldn't exist without sponsors. And I always appreciate it when I see the reels that you post, and I appreciate the value that you see in the reels. Because like I said, having a YouTube video is great. It's like 40 minutes of long content, but I know that the ability to cut that content up into short videos is where the value is.
Yes.
And so I appreciate the fact that you do that. And it's always nice too when I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh,
there's me.
There's me.
Well, honestly, your reels are one of my only social media, content that I put out, because they work. Like it's what people, we've made content that's, just a little post and it'll get some traction, but the reels I'll get like 1,500, 2,000. So it's like, that's where it's at.
Right. Well, no, and again, like I said, I think that for the show, for the value of the show, I mean, it's great being on the radio. And don't get me wrong, I get people all the time. Like we did a networking event at Frogger's, and I talked about it on the radio, but I also did other things too to promote the networking event. And we had people show up and they said they heard it on the radio. And I was thrilled because, sometimes because with radio, you don't really get to see, or, there's no proof of how many people are listening.
Right.
And that was always a challenge. So when you hear somebody say, oh, I was listening to, to the radio and I heard it, and you're like, okay, that's great. So, all right. So like you said, this is our last segment, and we were talking about different things through with your business. And there was one last thing that was on your list that we talked about, and it was called in-depth automation. So I'm not really sure what that is. What were you talking about there?
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things we do, I mentioned Zapier earlier, and I just mentioned a super simple use case, like pulling an email from Google Ads and putting it into your CRM. That's super simple. There's more in depth where you can have multiple steps, branching, different paths, like formatting. So I just did one the other day where we had a client that was moving from, it was like a proprietary software where they sold products, an e-commerce site. So we had downloaded, like they had like 300,000 records. Obviously,
like clients, people that purchase stuff.
Right.
Okay.
This was an 11-year-old business. Yeah. So obviously, that's not we can't change all those.
No.
We were importing it all into Shopify. We didn't want to keep the old customer ID number. We wanted it to have a Shopify number. So basically, we needed to do a lot of like formatting. And so I used Zapier, and I created like this really in-depth automation where we were able to pull everyone in, and it formatted everything correctly, all the right part numbers and the variations. And so that was huge.
You liked it too, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was fun.
I love that kind of
like, that was fun. I mean, that's like the back end of like, I think about, I'm learning more about websites and things like that. And I feel like your brain is like, I want to write the code, not just plug the stuff in here and, that sort of thing. But I've noticed that you're doing a lot to be more the face of the business. Is that kind of the direction that you've wanted to go as well? Because it sounds like you do a lot of the back end, like, you know what I mean? Like technical stuff, but you're also out there networking and doing that stuff as well.
Yes. And which is like the most uncomfortable part for me. I've had to make myself be like such a personable person. So yeah, I am trying to go in that direction. I still loved, like you said, I'm sure my eyes lit up when I was talking about that, because
just a bit.
I love doing those type of hard projects, and I would love to continue doing those. I just think I can hire other people to help do some of the more tedious or the repetitive things, because those I do enjoy like talking with people about it, and I am enjoying networking. So
yeah. Well, that's the like starting a business or being in business is like being able to perform what you're business is. Your product or service is one thing, but then there's always that part that you've got to sell it. It's, you can be the most advanced website developer, but if you don't have anybody out there selling it,
right,
then there's no point.
Right.
So, and it's not easy. Being a salesperson is not easy. And I know you don't even consider yourself a salesperson.
I think that's such a slimy word, but but I know that I am. I just try to be authentic and just let people know. I think they know once they talk to me that I know what I'm talking about, and that kind of sells it. I don't ever try to sell it, because I
have to tell you, I used to be super embarrassed of being called a salesperson.
Yeah.
And they try to make other creative words like account executive or business development manager. We are salespeople. Yeah. That's what we do. And I am so proud of that title now, because I'll have people call me and they're like, we know that you know how to sell things. And I'm like, I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, it's a skill in itself.
Right.
And so the fact that you're going out there and you're putting yourself in your non-comfort zone for your business is really important.
Right.
And that's what's going to make it successful. And so you know how to do all the digital ads, you know how to do all that stuff, but you still network.
Yes.
And how important is that to your business?
Before I started networking, I got everything word of mouth and I was doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I was making a good salary. But now this is just tripled my business by just getting out there and talking to people. And it is just about people trusting you, because word of mouth is one thing. And obviously you're getting the trust of the person who referred you. But me being in front of people has been huge.
Right. So. And I agree. Before I even knew about networking, it was just all cold calls and things like that. And that's just the way I thought it was done. When I went to my first networking meeting, I was like, what is this?
Right.
I'm like, these people want to meet with me? You know what I mean? Because that was always the hard part, is getting that first initial meeting.
Please, let's.
Yeah. So the world of networking, like I said, has changed the face of my business. Even when I was still in radio sales, it had changed the face, and it has made this show much more successful, because I get to talk to people about being on here.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you kind of see as the future for Get Me Automated? Are you looking to grow, or do you like the size you're at? What's in store for you?
So the 11th, next week, we're having a job shadowing day from some students from UCF. So
nice.
I'm super excited about that. And so my hope is to hire one of these 4 people that is the best. And I just need help. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed with work and things right now, so I just need some help. But I would like to possibly have 2 or 3 more people so I can expand and get things turned into clients in a timely manner. So,
right.
Yeah.
And that, I get that, because, and I was talking with Anna about that yesterday, is I love where we're at right now with bad marketing, and I know I want to grow, but when you do that, you have to trust other people.
Yeah.
It's scary, isn't it?
I think, and I am kind of a control freak person. And so I'm trying to let go. I have let go so much this year compared to last year, but I think I'm at the point right now where I'm waking up at 4 a.m. and going to sleep at 11. It's I have to give away some control so I can get some time back. So
absolutely,
I think I'll appreciate it a lot.
And I think it's super important that you realize that too.
Yeah.
And so that's great. That's it's for people like me and you, it's hard to let go.
Right.
It's hard for me to let go and be like, okay, I'm going to trust you to do that and do it right.
Right.
But like I said, I love referring to you, because I know you're going to do a good job, and I'm glad that we were able to make this connection. So,
yeah, thank you.
So we're going to wrap everything up. So go ahead and give out all of your contact information, and you've got time, so you can hit all the platforms.
Okay, so getmeautomated.com, and then if you want to look at our membership, it's getmeautomated/members. You can call us at 407-809-1138. Or email me at ashley@getmeautomated.com.
Awesome. And I am Angela. And actually, if you guys want to check out the networking group, it is Business at a Distance Central Florida Networking on Facebook. And I will give a huge thank you to our sponsors. And also thank you for tuning in. Have a great week. And remember, everyone, to support local.